Now for the shocks are all going to be the same, so I'm just going to be doing the front one, but one of the things that will make your life easier is to just remove the spacer, and then you can compress the spring, so you're going to hold this rod end, compress, and then this little spring mount at the bottom, you're just going to have to pull down, and there's going to be, I'll show you once I remove it, that little space. All right, let me remove the spring, this makes it easier. So that's the part that just clips on, and then that's how you clip it off as well. So this is it, and here's the spring. Now these are the stock springs. Here, the top mount just comes off. And this is it. So here is the shock. And now everything is just going to twist off. Now, if you have shock pliers, you can go ahead and grab this and replace the arm. If you do not, what you can do is if you just get a shop rag or your shirt, just place it on the shaft and then you can use pliers and that will generally protect. It'll just create enough friction and then you can just twist off. In order to remove these little balls, so you want to replace them for whatever reason, you generally just grab sort of, you put the plier in there, on there, and then you grab sort of off to the side, and then you just push through. That's generally how you remove them. So this one, almost out. So it's sort of a twisting motion. And that is it. So a little ball will come out. Then to reinstall it, you just place it back. And larger pliers would make this a lot easier. There, it just clips back on. Now, the actual shock pliers will have many little gaps. You can also hold the body with them. But here we go. So here is the top. That's the top of the cap. I'm not going to refill it, but that's what the body looks like. And then, well, why not? I'll replace it. Be careful when you do that because it does shoot the oil out. But this is it. So now, let me go ahead and clean this. It'll just make it easier to see. Now this is one of the differences between these shocks and the B6.3. Well, any of the B6s. For this one of the things that you will need is you're going to need a pick or a driver or pliers to remove this E-clip right here. And I strongly dislike E-clips. With pliers, you can just grab them and then just push this out, which I really don't want to do because then I have to put it back in. But I'm going to show you how this looks disassembled. I'm going to use a driver. Just going to try to get one of those edges. There it is. And let me get the E-clip out. If you're familiar with E-clips, then good, but if not, here it is. So all I did was just stuck the tip of the driver here in one of these little edges, and then I just pulled. So let's go ahead and set this down somewhere where I cannot see it. I'm kidding, I can see it, it's visible. But that is it. All right, piston is close to the top. So if you needed to replace the piston, this is all you would do. I'm just holding it and actually just spinning this. And let's grab the other side. So this is gonna drop it. This is fun. Just don't want to damage the edge of the piston. Do not use pliers to grab these sides, because then you're gonna ruin the piston. Great, so the piston is out. Just gonna set it like this here on a cleaner area. And you're gonna notice another E-clip here. You will need to remove that E-clip before you can pull this shaft all the way down. Now here at the bottom, let's say you just needed to remove or replace these seals right in there, all right? You would just remove this. But again, remove the E-clip, and then you'll be able to slide this down. Now there is inside, there's a little limiter inside of there. So once you remove the E-clip, this will slide out. Or if you do not want to remove the E-clip, which is probably what I would do, because then placing the E-clip is a pain inside of the body. Grab the shock pliers or something, hold the shaft, remove this end. So what you're going to end up doing is, by removing this end, now you can just grab that, pull it through the top. And the reason why you want to do that is that E-clip, good luck putting that E-clip in from in here. It's easier if you remove the shaft, install the bottom E-clip, and then drop the shaft in. That's the way to do these. Now here you have the different seals. Make sure that you lubricate them. Use a little green slime. Associated makes some really good slime for lubricating those parts. And then make sure that you lubricate the shaft as well. That's pretty much it. So now, before I fill it up with oil, I'm gonna go ahead and install the piston again. I'm gonna show you how to put that E-clip. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the piston. Now, you may wanna replace these pistons for a variety of reasons. One, they may be damaged, just worn out, or maybe you want larger holes or smaller holes depending on the oil. If you wanna run some heavier oil with some slightly larger holes, that works. I actually prefer heavier oil. Well, it depends on the application. Lighter oil is generally more responsive. Heavier oil generally dampens more. So I'm just setting the E-clip there, lining it up, and you're just gonna use your pliers, get it close. So little space here, I can't get the pliers in. I'm just gonna use the driver. All right, so you're just gonna set it. There's a groove in there. I don't think the camera can catch it. But that's where the E-clip is going to line up, right in those two grooves, those two sides. Then just grab it, and then just push it in with your driver. And that is it. Once you hear that snap, then everything is good. Move this all the way down, and go ahead and grab your oil, and then just fill it. Any excess will pop out, will just leak out. So make sure you have a rag or something to catch it. But first, we're just gonna move this up slowly, bring it back down, just to release all of the air that's underneath. All right, put a little more oil on it. So in it, not on it. And there we go, a little more air. Bring it up. Don't bring it up all the way. You don't want the piston to be above the oil. You want it to be in the oil, or else you may suck some more air in, which is counter to what you want to do. And just do this a few times until there's no more air, and then let it sit. If you no longer see air bubbles, then you can go ahead and cap it off. But before you cap it off, make sure that your cap is clean. Now this cap was clean. Go left first until you feel a click, and then go right. That's something I like doing just to avoid cross-threading the shock body or the cap. In this case, it would be the cap because the cap is plastic. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to have any pack because this did not feel like it had pack, so I'm actually going to push the shaft up and then I'm going to tighten everything. So I'm doing that with my pinky down here. So I'm just pushing it up with my pinky, holding it there. Then I'm tightening this. And that is it. All right, that feels good. So that is it for the shock. Now, if you want a little pack, you can also go about halfway. I just wouldn't go leave it all the way. You may end up having too much pack and then you may damage something, the shock, on a really hard hit. It depends on your setup. It depends on what you want. Depending on what you're racing, just talk to some of the people that are using the same car that have been driving for a while. They might tell you if you want to run pack or not. Now you slide this little sleeve in here so it looks like a little hat. Just make sure that the smaller diameter is on toward the bottom, large diameter is toward the top, because the spring needs to seat right in there. Now once we do this, I'm going to hold the spring back. I'm going to grab the bottom portion, clips, move it up, release the spring slowly, and that is it. So now the spring is sat. Once it is sat, move it down, put the little spacer in, and the shock is complete. So that's all you do for the shocks. All 4 shocks are the same process, so once you do one, you do them all. On the next video, I will reassemble the entire front end. Thank you very much for watching. Please comment below. Go ahead and subscribe. It really helps out, and I'll catch you in the next one.
What? Oh, my hair! My arm! My rod!